Pati Mahadeva ki Jai. Sitaram and cordial welcome to one and all here at the Sri Krishna Seva Ashram, where we are continuing from where we left off last night. Last night would have been the start of our second 3 nights in Ramayan Katha. We have initiated three Yagya virtual, that is, as a result of the global Deepavali happening on the 22nd of January. There's a global call for all Hindus and Sanatanis to celebrate Sri Ram in the form of Yagya, Puja, sacrifice, as the inauguration of the Sri Ram Janam Bhumi temple is happening in Ayodhya. And as a result, last weekend we started and we did Katha taken from Valmiki Ramayan, dealing with Jatayu and Sampati for the benefit of younger ones and those that would not have heard those Katha in a long time. The details, the essence that is there. And yesterday we did, now in this Yagya, we did the Kritibasi Ramayan. And for those of you that did not know about the Bengal Ramayan version, Kritibasi came from the 15th century. And we touched on the contents, dealing with the Adi Khan in particular, where we hear of the birth of Dashrath, who was his father Aj, his Aja Raghu, his great Aja Dilip. We heard how his father had gotten married to Indumati and then they subsequently died, leaving 1-year-old Dashrath to be in the foster care of Vashish Muni. Then as he's growing up, he gets married at the age of 30 years old to Kaushalya, subsequent Kaikeyi, then to Sumintra. And as we are going forward, we hear about the different episodes that had happened in that time, where he had become so distracted with married life, spending time with the 3 wives, trying to have family. We heard where he had a daughter but not sons. So sometimes as Sanatanis we think he did not have children, and just to clarify, based on what was contained in Kritibasi Ramayan, as well as it is found in Valmiki's Ramayan. In Kritibasi, she is called Hemalata. In Valmiki Ramayan, they refer to her as Shanta. But he does go on to do Putrishti Yagya. The daughter is married to the Pandit that did this thing, the Putrishti, also known as Shringi Rishi. In both texts, they agree on that. Tonight we enter into another, these 3 nights we are focusing on Dashrath, Raja Dashrath. And this personality is so great that we want to elucidate as we were chanting bhajan and we explained some of the Payoji Maine Ramaratana Dana Payo. The person who sings the song, Mira, is telling Prabhu, I wish to have a gem, but the gem that I want is wisdom, not physical gold or diamond, because wisdom cannot be pulled away or robbed or stolen because it grows inside the person. Wisdom grows day to day and could never be removed. I want that gem. And we looked at how in the birth and then the growth and the evolution of Dashrath, how he evolves, how he grows. And in this time where he is lost in the honeymoon phase of his life, 14 years of drought had come to Ayodhya and he did not see it. Narad Muni has to come and remind him. And he goes and he confronts Indra. Indra says, the rains are not falling because of Shani Dev. He goes to Shani, and Shani has to tell him about how Ganesh Baba had lost his head because of his sight. And Dashrath was then able to be the person who makes this prayer to Shani Dev. Dashrath says this prayer that we chant till today, this stotra that is used to help devotees. And we explained that knowledge, this what we are discussing is knowledge. And when you know about your God, when you know about prayers, then you could utilize that prayers to help yourself escape from predicament and trouble. Till today, people use Dashrath's Shani prayer to overcome different forms of despondency, depression, different types of anxiety, different types of dejection, loss, or fear of loss. And sometimes in simple language, spinning top in mud when you want to come out of that. and particular, not all, but particular type of ailments. When a person have bone-related problems, Shani Dev is in charge of the skeleton of an individual, male or female. And whether it is osteoporosis, you have fractures, you find you're hitting, you're damaging, bone marrow problems, etc. Blood-related problems because the cells in your leg bone are not regenerating. All these things could be assisted by Shanti and Shanidev. And this prayer that Raja Dashrath had created did and does help people with these type of problems. So when Raja Dashrath was finished with Shani, and Shani says, okay, I will leave the astrological house that is causing the trouble, and you're going to be able to see a change soon. Dashrath goes back to tell Indradev, well, Shani Dev is smiling, and things are going to be better, and Indradev allows for rain to fall upon Ayodhya. But it did answer a question that somebody had sent me. Somebody says, well, what's the significance of the 14 years that Sri Ram has to go in ban or in exile? And it does talk about in Kritibasi Ramayan that because of the thirst, because of the drought, and we'll hear about it tonight, that because he is at the end of the day, a politician, a true politician, is supposed to hold responsibility. There are different qualities of people. It could be parent, it could be a child, it could be a politician, a police officer, you name it. In everything, sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. You could be a politician and be corrupted, or you could be selfless. Same politician, let's say same salary. I could be a person who speaks for the good and the benefit of all, or I could choose to only enrich myself. Same politician, same job, same title, same remuneration. So in everything, as parents, as children, the mindset, the body language, the behavior, that brings the variation in that. In this example, here was a politician holding a very, great post. He's referred to as Chakravarti, King of Kings. He's so great and he's so virtuous, but he was not doing his diligence as the politician. During this time, he was acting as a normal householder, only paying attention to his wife and his marriage, focusing, I guess, in a different way, in all fairness to the man, on getting the continuity side of it, getting the prince that would one day take over his throne, in all fairness. But it doesn't mean you allow the people that depend on you, you are put in this position to protect us, safeguard us, bring stability, and do what is necessary to make sure that we are more or less protected and safe. So it is for this reason, last week when we were talking about the type of valor that Jatayu shows when he saves or he attempts to save Sita Mata, they say that the valor, the strength, the type of sacrifice, that is reserved for the Kshatri. There are different type of things that you expect from the Kshatri, one of which is to host, pray, to do sacrifice. You're the politician, you have treasury, and as a result, spend some of the money in doing good so that the typical person would be able to benefit, whether you call it food to eat or some type of prasad or some event where they would come, gather together as a people and better themselves. But here now, the politician is not studying the people, he's studying himself. And when this hardship had come upon them, not for 14 days, but for 14 years, Dashrath wants to venture out. When he's told by Narad, he wants to hear for himself and see for himself. If you happen to miss this satsang, and when he went, he heard two birds talking about how hard life was, and that the current king is so sinful because he's allowing everybody to suffer. But the predecessors, we never had problems for food. It was as if the environment, the trees respond to them. There's so much of goodness and good things that fruits bear, flowers bear. Life is good. The waters are running, but now the streams are drying. The hardship is too much. Let us leave. And this is where he activated himself. But it did say, coming to the end, that karma, he caused or he allowed those people to suffer. And for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. he will have to, for that 14 years, go through that drought himself. Let's begin with that. He will have to go through that drought himself. Tonight, we enter into a different type of discourse. Tonight, we enter into the ending of, last time we started with the beginning, the birth, where he's taken, he's getting, he gets the crown. He did have hardship in the beginning of his life when he lost his parents, and he lost his parents. But Raja Dashrath is showing how life is a funny thing, and this is applicable to all of us. Life is a cycle, and many Munis have written about this in our Upanishads, where life gives, you start to get the spouse, you start to build the house, you get the house, you start to get knowledge, you get a job. Yes, you get bills in all fairness. You have your health, you get the beard. Then the same beard becomes a problem because you have to shave. You learn to drive, then you don't want to drive. You want to give up driving. Then you start to get children, and with it comes different types of trouble and responsibility, and you live. And according to our text, then life starts to take back. Can't drive anymore, can't remember anymore, can't trust you by the stove, can't trust you to drive the car, forgetful. Different things start to happen until friends start to pass, family starts to pass, and you realize, as they say, life starts to take back all it once gave, because you can't keep it. You cannot keep it. It's not yours. Now that is a major tenet of Hinduism. Is it really my house? Is it really my children? Is it really my money? Is it really mine? Garud Puran talks about that you are just holding the money until the owner is ready for it. The next generation, the son-in-law, the daughter-in-law, arguably in terms of your perspective, they are the ones who are going to end up with everything. And what me and you stress and fight and bicker and what we make a fuss over, the boundary land being 1 inch over on my side and your side and different things. What is mine and what is yours? One day, people who never worked for it, people who never cared for it, people that will never appreciate it truthfully, they will inherit it. And do you honestly believe, and I'm saying this because of messages and phone calls I got today, do you honestly believe the way you scrub the concrete and the way you've worked hard to get the paint in younger days, do you think people who never worked for the entity, let's say for the house, right? They never worked and built the floor, then the walls, then the roof, and we worked towards it. They never did it. Do you think that they will appreciate it the way you would appreciate it? Your Dharma is telling you, you come with nothing and you have to go with nothing. So why fret about things that I guess we create in our minds, the mind and the eye and the mind, and you do what you could do, but you never lose sight of the reality that one day everything you have to rest it and put it down. God bless you, and you have to leave it right there. So life is about, and Sanatan Dharma is about balance. There's a time to eat the meat, there's a time to be fasting, there's a time to enjoy yourself and spend time with family, there's a time to work. There has to be a balance in everything, and so that you don't live in regret. Tonight we do the ending of Dashrath. And tomorrow night, just like that, our second Yagya would be completed. If you all, I know someone, well, this discourse was, well, the uncle know who he is. He gave me the idea and he says, please read about this. If you would like to hear any particular Katha discourse, you have a question, please forward them to me. Please send your messages on the YouTube. Please subscribe to the YouTube. If you're looking at me on Facebook, if you're looking at me through the link in the WhatsApp group, wherever you may be, send me your questions. so that I could better serve to answer those questions. If I don't know it, I'm telling you, I have to read on a daily basis. I don't know these things. I'm dependent on research. I'll go and do some reading and I'll get back to you. I might learn something in the process, I'm sure. Tonight, as we get set, let's begin as we always do with our mantras. Put your hands together and we get set to do our 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 discourse. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Everybody. He Ram. He Ram. He Ram. He Ram. हमें दया करो. Om Gajananam Bhutaganaadisevitam Kapeta-jambho palachara-bhakshitam Omasutam sho kavinashakarakam Namami Viganeshwara Parapankajam Sarvamangalamangaliye Shive Sarvartha Sadike Sharanye Trayambike Gauri Narayani Namostute Ramacharitra Varna Karum Ramahim Hridaye Mane Madana Kadana Rata Rakhi Sharira Manakaham Tapamite Rama Rama Pati Raghupati Jai Jai Mahalokapati Jagapati Jai Jai Rajita Janakadulari Jai Jai Mahinandini Prabhu Pyari Jai Jai Guru Brahma. Think of your Guruji or Panditji. Guru Vishnu. If your father and your mother, either or, have closed their eyes, remember them tonight. Guru Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. If there be a person looking on that is not doing too well, their health is waning, may the virtue of these satsang help. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe. Let's pray together where you are. Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukamiva Bhandana Mrityu Mukshya Mamritat. Together. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Umapati Mahadeva ki Jai. Sachin, do a countdown clock for me. Tonight, before we go into Valmiki's Ramayan, I just wanted to reflect a little bit on what it has in Tulsidas Ramayan. I was reading and I came across this. And I want to share this with you. We're in Ayodhya Kanda. I want to start with Doha 154 to tell you where I am. Kaushalya is sitting on the side of Raja Dashrath. Dashrath now, when we left off last night, he ruled Ayodhya for 9,000 years. with strength, with virility, humility. When he needed to be ferocious, he was a lion. But this virtuous man ruled. And when he did get the children that he so prayed for, his life felt complete. Now he has been separated via the words of Kaikeyi because of the influence of Manthara. But Kaushalya is the one who is close to him. And Dashrath is feeling the pain of separation, but he also feels in previous Chaupai, he feels as if he had caused undue pain at this point to Kaushalya. Hearing the soft words of Rani Kaushalya, the king opened his eyes and looked up at her, and wringing and wretchedness like a fish that had been sprinkled with water, feeling as if a gasp of air had come into his body. Recovering, he realized Sumantra had come, the minister. The minister has returned. Where did he come from? He had escorted Sri Ram, Lakshman and Sita to the boundary, leaving them to begin their journey. And Dashrath is asking this minister, where is the gracious Ram? Where is Lakshman, that warrior? Where is my beloved Vaidehi, my daughter-in-law? This restless king wailed as he could not find rest. He's rolling on that couch. You're not answering me. Where are they? In one night, I feel as if 10 years have rolled by. And he remembers in his mind, and we are in Chaupai 2, after Doha 154. He remembers a blind hermit's curse. And it was time for him to tell Kaushalya, filled with agony as he's relating this. He remembers his sin. And he says, fie upon me to try to survive without Ram. What shall I gain by trying to preserve this body? How I have failed to keep my vow of love. O delighter of Raghu, of the line Raghu, you are dear to me. Now he's speaking into the air. You are dear to me like my life. How I am already missing you, and I feel as if the Jeev in my body has left. You who have gladdened my heart as your father, just as dark clouds bring rain. When the farmer sees the clouds sprinkling, Prabhu, and that joy fills that person's life. In the same way, you have brought that joy and satisfaction to me. Remember what we learned yesterday. When he did not have the continuity, a king, a prince to hand over the kingdom, he was restless. He got married, and this was his focus. Build the big kingdom, good, but who to give it to? For every parent. Some parents, unfortunately, have children, but they can't see them, they can't talk to them, they cannot communicate with them. He cries out in Doha 155. Rama Rama Kahi, Rama Kahi, Rama Rama Kahi. Looking at the minister, yelling and squealing, Ram, Ram, again, where's Ram? And in that moment, according to Tulsidas, this is the Gita Press version, Tulsidas Ramayan, he gives up the body, the Jeev comes out of the body in that moment of separation. The chief of the Raghu dynasty in that moment dies. And in the footnote, they reference Valmiki Ramayan, told at length this sin that he had committed. So I went to look for it and I found it. I was sitting in the back of the ashram, and Mr. Ramnarayan, he's one of the devotees. He's a dean in Barapur. He says, you know, Pandit, I haven't heard Shravan Kumar discourse in so long. You know, we know of the Katha. Shravan Kumar is the name that traditionally we grew up knowing. The petier that we used to have, I remember the petier in my grandparents' house. You know, long time. When my grandfather used to sit on the couch, when you look up across from you above, Hindus had placed, and I guess they're following Gurpran, that they would have their religious petiers in their home. So that when they're relaxing or recoiling, as you lift your eyes, the only thing you could see is God's petier, God's face, religious petier. And one of those petiers, when we were growing up, was the Shravan Kumar petier. Do you know it? Have you ever seen that petier? Shravan Kumar, this young boy, and we're going to hear more about it just now. And let's say a stick, big lathi is across his shoulder, and basket on this side, basket on the other side. But in the basket, an old lady and an old man is sitting. Shravan Kumar is toting them from place to place, doing Seva as a son. He says, I haven't heard, I don't feel people read Shravan Kumar Katha anymore. Could you please see if it's real? Is it chepak? Chepak is when a term that is used to embellish. Embellish. I want to bring this word into our conversation at this time because it was relevant to his question. He says, is it real? Real, eh? Chepak is a literary tool that the author puts a certain amount of emotion into the listener, into the reader, that when you hear it, you know, the devotion is invoked. So for example, Valmiki does not tend to have too much chepak. So I want to use a word, the juiciness, the details that some of us take from Ramayana doesn't exist in reality. One easy example of this, believe it or not, is that Shabri discourse. Shabri in the authentic version, authentic meaning no embellishment. Shabri waits on the Lord, Shabri prepares daily for the Lord based on the words of the Guru. Wait here. Just like in the Sampati discourse, wait here. Prabhu is coming. And she prepared every day by getting flowers and fruits. That's it. But in the Chepak discourse now, she bit the fruit and she tasted each one to see if it was sweet or not. That little alteration gives the person a sense of how earnest the actor, in this case Shabri Mata, wants to serve the Lord and please the Lord. So Mr. Ramnarayan knows about this. We discuss these texts quite often when we sit to talk. So I told him, of course, there are versions of that discourse, books like Suksagar and so on. There are different places you will find reference the Shravan Kumar. But Valmiki has it, and this is what I want to read for you tonight. We are in, and Mr. Ramnarayan, we are looking on, this is for you. We are in Valmiki's Ramayan, Ayodhya Kanda, and we are starting at chapter 60, is it? Chapter 60, and we'll go on to 66. Tonight we deal with the death of Dashrath in greater detail than what is contained in Tulsidas Ramayan, for your knowledge as we get into knowledge. As we get into it and you listen to it, understand the sadness that is about to descend into Ayodhya. But when you listen to this, our discourse last night comes to play. Because if Dashrath is so great that in previous incarnation Mahavishnu had given in the Vardhan that I will come as your son, you are so blessed. But all this hardship, all these tears, all this separation, this pain, why? And it's only when you listen to Kritibasi Ramayana and you hear of the mistakes he made, Dashrath, the acts that he had committed. And this, what we say is Shravan Kumar. We'll hear a different name just now. In Kritibasi, full disclosure, they don't say Shravan Kumar. They call him Andaka, a different personality altogether. In Tulsidas Ramayana, they call him Shravan. Shravan. And in the Valmiki Ramayan, they don't mention the name. They simply say the son of the hermit. Son of the hermit. The Shravan seems to be the accurate name, but the Sarwan Kumar may be like how you have Bhojpuri. I'll do some research and I'll get back to you. But Shravan is the proper name. Shravan Kumar. Sarwan Kumar. Shravan Kumar. I guess like how we have Parasad and Prasad. We'll discuss that more. As we celebrate the Deepavali that will be happening on the 22nd, there are different songs that are sung to celebrate the various. In the beginning of all Ramayana, there is a method of how to read Ramayana for the true Ramayana, the true Yag, for those children that are listening, the correct amount of days for Yagya, for Ramayana Katha to get optimum benefit. It's not the 3 nights, it's not the 5 nights, it's not the 7 nights. 9 nights, Ramayana Yagya, where you have to complete a certain amount of doha. In the Tulsi, in the Valmiki, it will say slok because of the difference in the language. And it will tell you where to read, how to read. And you have to finish a certain amount of in a passage of time to conclude the yagya. But the sentiment is different depending on the kata. It cannot be read the same way. The feelings that has to be invoked when Sri Ram is born, the joy, the emotion, the vibration that after so long, after praying and doing all Ashwamedha Yag, Put Shreshti Yag, you name it, Dashrath had done it. And he finally gets Ram. He finally gets Bharat, Satrughna, Lakshman. He gets them. How he felt, that is portrayed in the Ramayana. But now, tonight, we enter into a different type of saga, a different part of the lila, and different type of bhajan is given. Ho ek din chut jaye sansar. One day, this world will have to be left behind. हो एक दिन छूट जाए संसार, हो एक दिन छूट जाए संसार, जिनके लखा परदीप भरत है. Those who are amongst the wealthy, they have to go with their hands empty. जिनके लखा पर दीप भरत है, जाते वो हाथ पसार, जाते वो हाथ पसार. ओ एक दिन छूट जाए संसार, हो एक दिन छूट जाए संसार. राजा रंक को काल नहीं चिन्हत, राजा रंक को काल नहीं चिन्हत. I'm reading this now before we get into our discourse here. Why? Death does not make a distinction between the kind and the king and the beggar. सबका करत आहार, oh, सबका करत आहार. It calls on all. One day it'll tap you on the shoulder and it'll say, come, regardless to your rank and file, you'll have to go. Veda Purana Grantha Bahubidhi Veda Purana Grantha Bahubidhi Pada. कोई न पावत पार हो, कोई न पावत पार, ओ एक दिन छूट जाए संसार. Even after studying the Veda, all the Puranas and all the scriptures, no one can understand the ways of the world. No one can predict the time, the true time when death will come. No one will know. People might guess, people might feel, people might read, and they will tell you predictively that you will see this and you will have that and with the other. But the work of the Lord in this regard, oh, ek din chut, one day this world and all that is in it will have to be left behind. Final verse, hear it. Bausagar mein jeevan naiya, Bausagar mein jeevan naiya, Ram lagawat par ho, Ram lagawat par. O ek din chut jaye sansar. It is only Sri Ram who will ferry the boat that will cross this life through this Bhausagar and allow me to reach to my destination. Whilst I'm here, in this life, in this world, it is only He that could get me from point A to point B. Without Him, how far will I reach? Oh, ek din chut jaye sansar. Tonight, join with me as we enter into Valmiki's Ramayan, as we enter into chapter 60 of Ayodhya Kanda. With that in the backdrop, with that bhajan still pumping, listening to this background music, I love it. My nephew is with me and his fingers are scratching to pick up that dolak, believe it. Sumantra had now come back where we enter. And he's trying to, in this version, he's trying to raise Kaushalya. He's trying to encourage her. Trembling again and again as though she's possessed of a spirit, she was rolling on the floor. As if her life had departed from her body, Kaushalya is speaking to Sumantra. Take me where Ram is. Take me where the scion of Raghu is, the grandchild from his lineage. Take me there. I want to see Sita. I want to see Lakshman. What is the sense you leave me here and I cannot live for one moment anymore? Quickly, minister. Take me to the Dandaka forest where he is. And if you don't take me, prepare, I'll go on a different journey and I will go to the house of Yamraj. Seeking to only comfort the queen, the charioteer, the minister that took them to the forest, where their journey began. His voice is choking. Tears start to roll. Imagine yourself. You grow to serve somebody, you grow with them, you work with them, and they are going through turmoil. When you truly love somebody, when you get so close and affinity, nothing disrespectful, but you're just so close to them. When the neighbor have trouble, you have trouble. When your family have trouble, you have trouble. When the co-worker have trouble, you, I suppose God says, if you live, if God is activated within inside of you, compassion is one sign of a devotee. That is one sign. When Sri Ram is talking to Bharat, he says the sign of saintly people is compassion. It's echoed in Gita. Sumantra, tears, he couldn't hold. Abandon grief. This agitation that is born of sorrow. Shake off this agony. Sri Ram will take up his abode in the forest. Serving the feet of Prabhu, Lakshman will do everything that he has to do. He knows what is right. He has subdued his senses. And he knows what is to be done and what is not to be done. All protocol will be followed. Getting her abode in that lonely forest, Sita whose mind is only set on Shriram. What are you worried about? What are you fearful? Look at the qualities of your daughter-in-law. She remains undaunted. You are worried about she is being treated harshly and she is embracing the opportunity. She enjoys the company of her spouse and her house. Her house is her husband and anything after. Not with the faintest dejection. I went with them and I did not see any trace of sadness in her receiving, willingly taking up exile. The daughter of Janak is truly trained properly, dear mother. Look at who your daughter is. Look at what type of person she is. Accustomed to staying in a home with silk and fine things, Sita finds her delight in a lonely forest groves outside the precinct of the city. The charming and virtuous Sita is shining like a full moon. When others have depressed spirits, when the people from the Ayodhya city, when they followed them to a point and they were sad and gloomy and doomy and all this, Sita Mata was glowing. She was happy because she was together with her Shriram. Dear mother, take heart, take solace in this, that although they are in this lonely and dark and dismal forest, she comes as a light. It is as if Lakshmi is walking this forest and bringing light not only to the animals, not only to the forest, but to your husband, not to your son as a husband. Devoid of Shriram, the city of Ayodhya is no better than a forest themselves. To Sita, whether she's here or she's in the Dandaka, if Shriram is not there, she is still in the wilderness. Her heart is intent on being with him. Her life is dependent on his life. And seeing this, whether it is a village, a city, a flowing river, a great tree, they are happy. And she is very happy together with her husband and her brother Lakshman. Whosoever is at her side, I saw her as she was inquiring what type of plant is that and what type of tree is that and where are we now? And she was with energy. This young head was genuinely enjoying her time. It was as if she is full of pleasure in this garden that was just a couple miles outside of Ayodhya. I remember so much looking at Sita, and in that moment, not once did she say one thing. Mother, Kaushalya Mata, not once did she say unguarded, a slip. You know, in today's world, if somebody, let me just say, put yourself in the scenario. The girl get married to the boy mother or somebody put him out and say the house is not yours, the land is not yours, the account is not yours, you're not going to get anything, go on you. The first thing you could expect is that the girl, in privacy at least of husband and wife, your family will treat you nice day, boy. Your family in today's world, we live in Kali Yuga, right? If it was me, maybe Priya would have told me that your mother will treat you sweet. You see how much your family love you? But in this case, the divine, she didn't show that quality. She didn't do that. Skipping over all references to the adversity that they now found themselves in, mother. This girl only served to bring joy and some smile on the face of Prabhu. Our prince was smiling as he walked into the forest. The splendor of Sita, who comes from the Vedaha clan, which resembles, as I said, the moonlight, does not fade as if she's tired of the journey or she was, exhausted, or through violence or the wind, or if she was agitated caused by the sight of a fearful beast. The sun was blistering for me, and for she was energetic and happy. The well-known face of that sweet-speaking Sita, which resembles a lotus in the fullness of its bloom, never faded not once. She still looked as if she was beaming, as a lotus bud. She looked happy, and they were so happy together. She kept, sometimes we see in our movies that she looks like a Swamini or somebody who has, given up all the jewel and all of that. But that is not the case. In Slok, this is 18, that high-minded Sita, knowing how her husband would feel, she walks with that stride as a princess. And although dressed in the outfit of Swamini, she maintains her jewel. So that the marks, what is the purpose of the jewel? Just as if in today's world, I say the wedding ring, she wore her wedding ring, to show to the husband that I'm still showing that bond to you. So the Mangal part, the Mangal Sutra, the piece in the hair, the toe ring, the different signs of marriage and having a special bond only with one person, she kept it on her body to please nobody else but her husband. So that he would feel comfortable, she did keep it on. And though living in the forest, she does not give way to fear, mother. Seeing elephants, lion, tiger, she's dependent on the arms of Sri Ram. Nothing else. Neither yourself nor Raja Dashrath deserves to be worried. This Katha of Sri Ram will live on in this world because of the way they have lived and will live, because of who they are. They are not shaken by grief because these three have been exiled. No. Firmly established in highly delightful mind and mindset, these eminent people are walking on the road that is trodden by the sages, the people that live in the forest, and there is no problem because he's fixated on implementing the vow that his father took up, that whatever she asked for, whatever Mother Kaikeyi asked for, his father would have to implement it. And Sri Ram is not going to bring any type of shame to his father's name or to the family name, even if it means he walks away from the throne. He says, dear mother, for this reason, feel proud of your son. But don't grieve for him. As he said that, she starts to cry, oh my darling, oh my dear son, oh son of the Raghu. Let's hear what happens as we enter into chapter 61. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Rama Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Rama Jai Ram Shri Ram Jaya Jaya Rama Banan Gate Dharma Rate Rame Ram Yantam Barakau Shilya Rudhi Diti Charta Bharta Ramiti Madhav Bravita Titrashuloka Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Rama Shri Ram Jai Ram Jaya Jaya Rama Jai Ram Shri Ram Jaya Jaya Rama Shri Ram Jai Rama Jaya Jaya Rama Siyapati Ramachandra ki Jai. Kaushalya Mata continues the conversation and she says, Shri Ram was devoted to righteousness, foremost amongst those who bring delight to the people. Having departed this forest, why have you done this? She goes now into the space where Raja Dashrath is, Kaushalya. Although your great glory is extended throughout the three worlds and is well known as a member of the Raghukul, you are full of compassion and generous, and you speak kindly to all, but you never pause, you never stop to think what your two sons and that daughter of yours is going to experience today. how much they will endure in that forest, how much hardship, oh great Mahant, how much hardship will they have to go through. How will that young girl, that delicate body that she has, the princess of Mithila, is this why you took Janak's daughter here? She is just 16 years of age, and she is deserving of comfort more than you and me. How will she bear the heat and the cold of a forest? Haven't taken part in a diet that is rich and with delicious sauces and all the different servants cook and prepare and bring everything. How will she survive on a diet with only wild rice? How, having listened to only sweet strands of vocal and instrumental music every day of her life, whether at her father's house or at your house, how will she, after having that rich, endowed, auspicious qualities of appreciating the music of music, the appreciating the good quality of music, bear to hear unpleasant roars of lions and animals that feed on flesh? How will she live in fear, O great king? Where does the mighty arm, Ram, the mighty arm, Ram, who is possessed of great might and resembles the banner of which your family flies? How will he do the prayer on the Dwadasi day in the bright half of the month of Bhadra or Bhadrapada? With all the festivities, how will he do it now? His arms are stout like a club themselves. How will that great one support us now when he's exiled? When shall I behold his beautiful face? What wrong did I do you, husband? He who possesses the hue of a lotus leaf, with his beautiful hair, his breath that gives off the fragrance of lotus flowers, his eyes are so compassionate and soft. How will I see those things again? His heart is made of a substance harder than adamantium steel. He is strong, he is valorous, he is brave, and he makes us proud. But because of your actions, I will never be able to see him. For how long? There's no doubt about it. It does not. My heart wants to break into 1,000 pieces every moment I do not behold him. It was cruel. It was a cruel act on your part to be expelled, to expel my near and dear one who was deserving of comfort, and have to knock about like wretched people in a condition as be unbefitting as a forest. Leaving this city, even if Ram returns to Ayodhya in the years that you have listed, isn't it expected that there will be conflict between Ram and Bharat? How will Bharat, after so long becoming king and the sovereign, just relinquish the throne? My son will have no space. When Bharat becomes the exchequer of all the treasury accounts, when he becomes the money man, will he just give it up? It is well known, it is a well-known fact that householders feed their own relations, sons, daughters, loved ones, on the occasion of Shradd. When different type of Shradd are being done, a ceremony that honors the relatives that have passed on at their death anniversary, or at great moments when we talk about Nandi Mukshradd yesterday, when he gets married to Sumintra. The object of this is to make special gifts to gain the favor of those living and those that have passed away. Having accomplished all the great feats the person commits to doing Shradd, and we worship those great people, the Brahmanas, those people who have good character, other people who have learned, people who have godlike discernment. And when you feed them and when you give to them, you gain blessings. I lived this. I lived this. I did this. And this is how I inherited Ram. Why? Why then will Ram, who is the eldest and most deserving, how will he be treated with disdain when his younger brother is the one who is in charge? Would a tiger partake of food brought about for others to eat? Is he a scavenger? Is my son a scavenger? Does he have to settle for meager amounts when he was the one who is supposed to be entitled? How would he set his heart on ruling when his brother is ruling? The wise do not use for a second time something that has to be offered, such as the food that is offered. That isn't offered in a second prayer. The prasad that is offered, that is given to the devta for this purpose, for that purpose, that isn't reused or recycled. The ghee can never be reused or recycled. The kush grass, the doob grass, these things can never be recycled. The wood that we put into in the hawan kun, those things can be recycled. Therefore, Ram would not be able to accept sovereignty that is already being enjoyed by Bharat any more, any more than any other person can accept something that is not given with, with honor, something that is not given with due diligence. How would somebody accept that? Ram will suffer from such a, will not such an indignity than a person, like an animal, like a tiger, that has to beg or go to others for food, to take from others. In the same way, why? Why have you done this? Why have you put your Ram in such a dreadful predicament? Why have you ruined me as Kaushalya? Why have you ruined the happiness that we were so close in this city to carry on with your lineage, your kul, the people that have passed away in your family? They would have seen him installed when the shroud is done, and they would have put the crown on his head. They would have received benefit. The people would have been receiving benefit. Now, because of one woman's request, your ancestors have to suffer. The people of the city have to suffer. They're grieving. I have to suffer. Why do this? How did it not, this throne of Ayodhya with righteousness, why did it not, why didn't you comprehend that he would lead this throne, lead these people with righteousness, that mighty armed prince, possessed of all the extraordinary might, and if he so wills, he could do many things with his arrows, dry up the ocean, destroy a mountain. He's so powerful. This jewel amongst men, who is so powerful, as indicated, as I told you before, possess the strength of a lion. Why would you put out this person? A son who is deeply devoted to righteousness, you have exiled. It is problematic. It will cause trouble. The path of virtue is lost. The main support of a woman is her husband. The second is her son. The third is her family general. And the fourth is everybody else or anybody else. Let's say the neighbor, so on. Of the aforementioned three main support, you, husband, you have taken away everything. Because in you I have no support. Because you, and I wanted to read this, Slok 24. Because you are under the thumbnail of another woman. Because you are under the thumbnail of another woman and you are so bent on pleasing her to the eye. I do not have the support of a husband who understands my desire, my feelings. I do not have my son, and I feel as if I have lost every support I have because I am so isolated. My father, my brothers, my family, they cannot help me. I have come here to live, and you have destroyed all because of what? A promise you made to another woman. And Kaushalya says, I was here before her. You have been utterly, I have been utterly destroyed by you. This kingdom, Kosal, and all the other neighboring kingdoms have been destroyed by you. We all, your people, your counselors, your ministers have been destroyed by you. I stand doomed with my son. The citizens have been ruined because of the happiness, because of the joy they once had when we were in line to build and put the crown on his head. The hope and the aspirations of the people of Ayodhya have all come crashing down because of one request, two requests of a woman that you hold higher than your child. The only people who are smiling and greatly delighted is Bharat and, well, because he gets the throne, Kaikeyi. Her way is the way. Distressed to hear this condemnation. Slok 27. Distressed to hear this condemnation of the Empress Kausalya, crouched in her harsh words like a venomous snake waiting to bite. The emperor fell into a swoon as if he's losing consciousness. In today's world, we might say he lost consciousness, blood pressure going up, porting, and he faints. Oh, Ram. And he got plunged in that grief. And in that moment, faints, collapse, as he starts to remember his past. We enter into 62, chapter 62. Narayanaya Krishnaya Paramatmaya Namo Namah. Narayanaya Krishnaya Paramatmaya Namo Namah. Evam tu krudalvya raja Ramantra Ramatra Soshokyatam Shruvitaha Purusham Vyakam Chintayam Sma Dukhitaha Narayanaya Krishnaya Paramatmaya Namo Namah. Shri Vishnu Bhagwan ki Jai. Told harsh words by the angry Kausalya, who was full of grief. The king, for his part, felt distressed as he bent his head and bent his shoulders. Having reflected a while, the emperor, King Raja Dashrath, seems as if he's confused, and as the moment is overwhelming, becomes unconscious. And it was after a long time that the emperor, who was known, remember what we read yesterday, he was known for subduing his enemies. He was able to destroy anybody. He was able to fight with the best of the best. Indra has to free him. Eventually, he regains his consciousness, heaving heavily to breathe. Now Kausalya is lying next to him. And he's lying there and he's worried and he's thinking of how she's feeling and how he's feeling, even as he reflected on the sinful deeds that had been done, unwittingly perpetrated by him in the past, whilst hitting a mark on screen from sight, with the help of sound alone, flashed on his mind. He starts to recall, me and you, we go through hardships. And the first thing, why did God allow this to happen? But when the person is knowledgeable of karma and how this life works, it dawns on them, I did something. I'm being punished for something. So he's in that moment and he starts to think about what he did, and he knows what he did. The mighty emperor felt disconcerted through remorse caused by the thoughts of his sinful deeds in the past, as well through grief born from the separation of Sri Ram now, and was tormented with the dual type of grief, because he's talking about what he did in the past and what he's experiencing now, and it is only heightened by the words of Kausalya Mata, joining his palms in order to beg Kausalya, the king who was being consumed by this twofold grief, and he couldn't take it no more, feeling afflicted, spoke tremblingly to her as followed. Dear Devi, please hear my words. Please show me favor. Here is my supplication to you. I need to tell you something. If in fact you are full of affection to your enemy, I Dashrath is your enemy. I am your enemy. O tender-hearted one, this husband, for his part, you think is full of virtue, but I am also lacking in them. Indeed, a visible deity, the ladies, knowing what is right, dear godly lady, though afflicted, you are only conversant with the principles of righteousness, and you don't know otherwise. Every king, but also devoted to righteousness, seen both good and bad. This king has seen good and bad fortune in this world, so I know about karma. Ought not to have told me unpalatable things, as I am already burdened. You should know not to say these type of things to me, as I am already grieving and I am lost. Hearing the piteous words of Raja Dashrath, Kaushalya herself starts to cry. As a drain allows rainwater to flow, her eyes leaked profuse amount of water. And she rests her head, as the husband was like this, she rests her head right here on his palm, because the both of them know what they were going through. They worked so hard to achieve their children. She celebrated when he brought Kaikeyi, as we heard in Valmiki Ramayan. She celebrated when he brought the beautiful Sumintra, as they thought that they would have seen children coming. And now, as they had their hopes dashed, as the crown was about to rest on Raja Ram's head, rather than pick at each other, now she speaks weeping words and a calm tone to him. He says to her, be gracious to me. I entreat you one last time with a bowed head. I lay prostrate at your feet. Devi says, Kaushalya Devi says, since I have entreated to you, you are my Lord, you are my superior, you are my husband, but I spoke to you in such a way that I feel that I am making my situation worse. I do not deserve your pardon, O husband. I deserve court's punishment. Surely, she is not a woman of noble descent who speaks like this, who causes pain to her husband. Please understand what I am going through. I know my duty. I know what is right. And I know what is wrong. But something unseemly was, however, uttered by me. And as stricken as I am with grief caused by the separation from my son, grief eradicates patience. Grief takes away learning. Grief destroys all. There is no enemy in a person's life like grief. A blow that descends from above, which you cannot see it coming. A blow that descends from the hands of an enemy can be sustained, because I know where it came from. I know why. I know that person don't like me. I know why. But grief, however, that has appeared all of a sudden, that cannot be explained, but it has to be endured for 1 minute. That minute is massive. That minute seems like a lifespan in itself. The period of 5 nights have elapsed since Ram has left to go into the forest. And in this period of reckoning, it is equal to 5 years in my heart. In this moment, please understand how I am scarred with grief. Even as I think of Ram, this grief born from the separation of us, abiding in my breast, in my chest, it is only becoming more and more intensive. Just as the water is causing the ocean to swell, and it is flowing into the rivers now. The rivers are starting to swell. The rivers want to break their banks. So too, as the separation is growing, my pain and my grief is growing, and I feel as if I am losing control of myself. When Raja Dashrath is crying, listening to her words, in grief, there are different stages of grief. When someone dies, for example, the first stage is anger. Why did this have to happen? Look at yourself when somebody has died. Or you see as a pundit, when we sometimes go to homes, people are angry. Why did mommy have to leave? Why did daddy have to die? Why did my father have to die? For example, the first stage of grief is anger, where you are questioning, why did God allow this to happen? Kaushalya is passing that stage, and she starts to get real as she's dealing with it, and she's seeing what she's feeling and why, and she's talking it out. I guess it's a healthy sign to talk out your grief. If you be going through something like this, see the example of conversing or going through some form of therapy. It is advisable because it has to come out. Otherwise, you are walking around like a ticking time bomb that is reacting when you see the movies, when you see a hearse passing on the road, when somebody sings Ma Teri Mamata, Hey Jagat Pita Bhagavan, and they call on father, they call on mother, or whatever relation. The death anniversary comes and it rehashes a scar in your heart. Sit with your guru, sit with your therapist, sit with a friend, a true friend. In this case, this lady is sitting with her friend, her spouse. This is the, in Kriti Basi Ramayan, she says, you are my lion. That was, we in today's world, you're my teddy bear, you're my sugar dumpling, you're my, in those times, you are my lion because you make me safe. You make me feel as I can be myself, as a young girl get married and into womanhood now. I can come into what I like. I can learn about myself. I can trust myself. I can make a mistake because you are my lion. You are my husband. You will protect me with your roar, with your might. This is who she's trusting. But what happens? Kausalya gets to tell him, but today the king is different. Overpowered by grief, listening to the words of Kaushalya, the king, his body cannot take today the weight that he would have held and held as the head of the family, as the lion, any situation, any circumstance, and he holds on. He's at the helm and he's guiding the ship, he's guiding the chariot, he's driving the car. For 9,000 years he did it, but at this time, without Ram, he's not the same. And the grief, overpowered by grief, listening to Kaushalya, Dashrath faints again. And as if he had fallen asleep, Dashrath drops on that couch, on that bed. As we begin chapter 63. After 1 hour, he awoke from the sleep. And the king, whose mind was obscured by grief, feels as if it is a prey that is being stalked. Imagine a deer and I hear a rattle in the bush, a lion coming for me, something coming to eat me, something coming to take me. Consequent on the banishment of Sri Ram Lakshman, grief had seized the king, who was beyond comparison in might and splendor, who vied, who could be equal with Indra, the ruler of the Devatas. Now, because of Rahu, the planet, when the sun and Rahu are in the same planetary alignment, to use simpletons, it brings about a lot of anxiety and fretting and worries, afraid, to use local words. in the person. I never had this problem, but I have it now. So in that, it have a way to fix it, right? Recalling at this time his misdeeds as responsible for his present misfortune in the shape of the separation of his sons and daughter-in-law. Sri Ram had actually departed for the forest with his wife and Lakshman. Dashrath felt inclined to tell Kaushalya what he had in his mind. With the corners of his eyes dark, with his body feeling weak on the sixth night after Sri Ram had left for exile, Raja Dashrath remembered at midnight the misdeeds that were perpetrated by him. Recollecting his misdeeds, the unfortunate monarch, king, was stricken by grief caused by separation from his son, spoke to Kaushalya, who was equally in grief, and he says, a doer surely reaps the fruits that were sown by his deeds corresponding to the nature, good deeds, bad deeds, good reap, good fruit, bad fruit. O gracious one, he who does not reckon while undertaking action the relative importance of the fruits of that action, whether it be advantageous or disadvantageous, good or bad, accrue in its building, that person is truly a fool. The person who does things and doesn't think about the consequence, whether it is good or bad, that person is a foolish person, because they would be surprised when bad comes to them. I didn't know. Anyone who's cutting down mango groves, fruit blossoming trees, nourishment, so that they could water grass to grow. Just as they lose nourishment, shade, and valuable commodities for grass that does not bring the same type of commodity to the person, so too in my time I have caused this. Ram is like my mango grove. And that grove, I have been waiting for so long to see mangoes grow in my grove. And just as the flowers started to sprout, just as we were expecting to see benefit from our mango grove, I went and I cut down the tree, robbing us of these mango. In its place, removing a fruit-bearing trees with grass that has no fruit, that has no flower or any benefit to you and I. Such a fool am I, Kaushalya. Such a fool. Such a fool. The sin which I am going to describe to you now, dear Devi, it is perpetrated by me. O Kaushalya, I was once at that time a young prince, wielding bow and arrow, and I had won the title of prince because I shot from in the forest. I shot at something I could only hear, I didn't see, so I closed my eye and I shot. Simply by the sound, I could hunt like that. I went at this disaster, which was earned by me, and it was earned by me. I did it, and it is being reaped by me, O godly lady. In the same way as poison may be swallowed by a child because of foolish games, so too the common man could become deluded, and by ingesting the wrong flowers, ingesting the wrong plant, swallow poison. Likewise, mistaking this moment to be a great moment of, for hunting purpose, it was the beginning of my end. It was never suspected by me that hitting that mark, the sound that came from hitting my mark, I want to be successful, I want to hunt. But when I let go the arrow, I did not think then that would cause this. In that time, there was a monsoon. And when that monsoon had passed, it was the fitting time to go and hunt as a Kshatri. I wanted to capitalize on the moment. as the earth laid, pulling in the excess water, the scorching rays of the sun had come out, and the earth was dry, and I went into the forest. All the birds, their bodies still wet from the monsoon. The place was wet, the water was everywhere. And this, even my body was wet. All the elephants, everybody had come out from hiding and was going where the cascading water was running to get to drink something, because they were sheltering in place whilst the water, the rains, the monsoon weather was running. Now they came out to eat. So for this reason, I went to hunt. Having made up my mind to take some form of recreation in the form of hunting. With my senses uncontrolled at this age, you're thinking you are able and capable, you could do anything. Somewhat irresponsible. I went with my chariot to the bank of the river Suryo, equipped with my bow and my many arrows, wishing to hunt at night a wild buffalo, an elephant maybe deer. Accidentally arriving at something, I found the river. So I stayed at a distance, and in the darkness of night, I listened to hear something coming to drink. Not knowing what I was hearing, I heard the gup-gup as water was being picked up. Not knowing, dear Davy, it was the sound of a pitcher, a water goblet, filling with water, resembling the sound of how elephants trumpet songs when it is pulling up water. At a place which was not before my eyes, I was at a distance in the dark, taking out the arrow from my quiver, effluent, glowing arrow, resembling like a snake. It is so powerful, it is so potent, the sharpness, like a razor blade. Then discharged in the direction of where that sound was coming from. Feeling proud in the moment as I was closed my eyes and only using the sense of hearing to guide that missile where it had to go. The deadly effect of that arrow was resolute, it was sure, and I knew it would be effective. And when the rising of the sun came and the dawn had cleared, I went to see what it is I hit. And when I went close, I heard the vital air, the pain where the arrow had hit. A dweller in human voice is groaning and moaning in pain. How could a weapon descend the person who's lying on the ground? Shravan Kumar, Shrawan. There are words that we pronounce incorrectly, but because of language difference. Remember, we don't come Awadhi, Bengali, Hindi, Bhojpuri. They are different, different dialect, different, language altogether. But we live in a kind of Kalalu. So you hear Kaisan Hal, you hear about different words. Some the statements sound familiar, and we interpolate in the West Indies because we are exposed to both. So it sounds confusing. In some texts, you will come across Shravan Kumar, and in the actual Tulsi and the thing, you will come across, more so in Tulsi, you will hear Shravan Kumar. Shravan is in the water, he's bleeding, and as at that time, Rajkumar Dashrath, he's a prince. Shravan is asking, how could a weapon descend on an ascetic like me? Who? I don't have an enemy. I came at this closed off, isolated spot in this lonely river in the dead of night with the intention of drawing water. Whom have I been hit by? Where did this arrow come from? What offense has been done by me or done to me? Where did this violence come in the middle of this forest? There's nobody here. How can the killing by means of weapon, an ascetic like me wearing my jata on my head, clad in tree bark and deer skin, I have no jewel, I have nothing to rob. What would be the benefit of killing somebody like me? Who can have any interest in killing me? What offense has been given by me to the man who hit me with this arrow? Dashrath stood at a distance and he listened. In this way, a futile act being done by him, an act which will only yield to evil consequences. As he stood there with fear, he was locked up, his body, he was frightened, because it is a real consequence to interfere with prayerful people. Nowhere will anyone admire him. Nowhere will anyone admire him. More than one, the person who shot me, that is. Nobody will admire him any more than somebody who does admire the person who wants to sleep with the guru's wife, their guru's wife. Just as how you look at that person in disdain and shame, in the same way, Dashrath got this first shrap. For this reason, if you really pay attention, you will hear in Bhajan they celebrate Kaushalya. We do hear of good things of Dashrath, but Dashrath is not, he isn't given this status in the same way as Kaushalya Mata. This moment is being reflected here. I do not grieve for this loss of my life so much as for the fate of my father and my mother. Both, how they will react when they hear of my expiry. By what means, by what subsistence will this aged couple be maintained, and for how long without me there? I am their main support. What will happen to them when I have come to my end? My aged parents, as well as myself, stand killed by one arrow. One arrow left the bow, but it killed 3 people. Because if I am the main provider and protector of these 2 people, how long will they survive, whether without food or if a wild animal come close to them in the forest? By what ignorant fool of an uncontrolled mind have we all been done to death? What fool has caught or brought death to these 3 people? Who did this? The bow with an arrow, which I held in my hand, dropped from my hands, Kaushalya, Raja Dashrath. It fell to the ground. Distressed as I was to hear this plaintive, this person, the patient, cry, and sought only to do what was right in the moment, hearing the piteous lament of this ascetic, this saintly person, who was wailing during the closed off and the light coming in the morning. I lost consciousness there again and again, utterly confounded. I did not know what to do. I was due to the outburst of grief. I was lost then. Reaching the place where he lay, distressed in mind, extremely sad at the heart, as I was, I beheld the ascetic lying on the bank of the Surya River, struck with the arrow, and pierced with its point the mass of his matted hair, put out of order because of the water. The goblet, the pitcher, laid empty now. His limbs besmeared with a mixture of dust and blood, as he was bleeding a lot. He stared at me, who stood alarmed and sick in my mind, with his bloodshot eyes, as if he could consume me with his own glory. He addressed me with harsh words. What wrong was done by me to you, O king? Living as I did in this forest, intending to take water to my parents, I was hit by you. On being hit in my vital organ, With a single arrow, my blind and aged mother and father both have virtually been killed. Feeble, blind, thirsty, they must be anxiously waiting for me and will be cherishingly. Since so long they've been waiting for water, I will place that water, enduring their painful thirst, surely, or learning has not yet brought fruit. In my case, or in the case of my father, for my father does not know anything about having me fallen down or morally being wounded, lying on the ground. Even if he knew, what could he do? Even if he finds out that I am damaged in this way, what could he do? Feeble and unable for him to even move with his legs in this way, incapable of protecting me as any tree is incapable of protecting the neighboring tree. One tree cannot protect another tree. Seeking the presence of my father, O scion of the Raghu family, after Dashrath had introduced himself, speak you alone to him speedily about my condition. If you take courage in both your hands, courage, and confess your guilt before him, I am sure he will not burn you with his wrath. As a swollen fire would consume a forest, be careful. This track that I have come on will take you back to my father's hermitage. It could be reached from here very easily. Approaching him carefully, seek his forgiveness, lest he should get enraged and destroy you. Render me free from pain by pulling out this arrow. O king, since your sharp pointed arrow torments my vital organ in the way the river corrodes the bank of the river by constantly moving with the breath, in the same way how it breaks the bank, the same river that needs the bank, the arrow is causing pain every time I breathe in and out. While I was going to extract the arrow from his body, O Kaushilya, the following thought entered my mind. With the arrow still rattling in his body, the hermit boy will continue to suffer, even though he will survive because it's there, blocking the hole. But while he will surely expire the moment I remove the arrow from his body. That sage, the sage son of the hermit, immediately perceived my anxiety, distress, miserable, stricken with grief then as I was. The hermit boy said that according to scripture, the person who causes the death of a Brahman is going to undergo great amount of pain, though getting faint and motionless, with his eyes turned around, his eyes going. Since I have approached my end, I am trying to compose my mind, restraining from grief by recourse to firmness, let alone this agony caused by your thoughts. Let that go. You have not killed a Brahman. I am not a Brahman. O king, don't have anguish over that. In your mind, understand that I am a Vaish and I was born to a Sudra woman. Well, a Vaish father, Sudra woman. O ruler of the foremost of men, whilst he was speaking with aforesaid difficulty, his vital part being smitten, damaged, bitten by the arrow, and was now rolling on the ground in pain, quivering, trembling, fainting. I took out the arrow as he fainted a little bit, and with the pain he woke up, looking dismayed due to anxiety, still worried about his parents, looked at me. His only wealth was his asceticism, his saintliness, his lifestyle. Thinking of his parents, he gave up the jiv from within the body. Slok 51, Ayodhya Kanda. And I know one devotee is waiting to hear where this is. Chapter 63, Slok 51, Ayodhya Kanda, Valmiki Ramayan. You will find it. I felt extremely sad, O Kaushalya, to see him, behold him, sighing again and again as life rackled in his throat, and then out of his body came the jeev, he left the body. Then, lying at the bank of the Surya river, his body lay dead, drenched all over with water. Prem Sabalo Mahapati Mahadeva ki jai. Jai Bole Baba Tav Sharanam. Jai Bole Baba Tav Sharanam. For those of you at home, help me sing. We're nearly finished. Jai Bole Baba Tav Sharanam. Jai Samba Sada Shiva Tav Sharanam. Jaya Samba Sada Shiva Tava Sharanam Shoko Paha Tachi Tataksha Bhaya Santra Stiti Chindaha Tache Shravan Par Gata Bhoya Shloka Kaham Gata Gatayate Jaya Bhole Baba Tava Sharanam Umapati Mahadeva ki Jai. More and more, having perpetrated this sin due to ignorance, this egregious sin, I thought with the help of my reason, my sense being utterly confounded, being alone, I didn't have nobody with me, nobody to protect me, nobody to guide me. How will good luck come to me? Taking the pitcher, I filled it with water, left the deceased where he was, filled with water from the Surya, proceeded on the track, and headed back to the home of the hermit boy, the hermitage of his parents, the same hermitage that he referred to. There I saw feeble, blind, aged parents with none to conduct them here and there, resembling a pair of birds whose wings have been clipped. They remained occupied amongst each other with talks concerning only their son. They sat free of any type of distraction or any type of argument. The two foregone and forlorn aged people fondly hugged and hoped of meeting their son. Though deprived of all their senses, sight, touch, they couldn't stand, etc. All they had was their intellect. And my intellect, clouded with grief, my mind dismayed. I'm afraid at that time, Kaushalya, I was going to get the shrap from the ascetic couple. I felt prey to grief on reaching the site of this hermitage. It is not the hermitage that has all the godchildren like in Valmiki time or Vashish time. This is just two people sitting there. They depended whole and soul on this one child. Hearing my footfall, my footsteps, the father says, "Why are you tarrying, my son? Bring the water immediately. Your mother here, she's seized with anxiety, son. She was worried about you. You have been bathing in that river too long. She was worried about you. Please enter the hermitage. Come without delay. The offense, if any, don't take it to heart. Whether by your mother or myself, my son, don't take it to heart, my child. You're an ascetic. You're a saintly person. You're our support, supportless as we are. You are our eyesight, as sightless as we are. Our senses are only focused on you. How then do you not speak to us? As though frightened in your mind to behold, as frightened as he is to behold the stage, I replied to him, faltering in inarticulate words, lacking in certain consonants, fully controlling fear, controlled by fear, which is in my mind at that time, by means of outward signs, acquiring power of expression. I, for my part, told him of the fear that awaited him because of his son's death. I am a Kshatriya, son of Aj. I am Dashrath. I am not your son of that exalted self. He's referring to Shravan Kumar. As a result of my actions, this agony which you will despise, O noble person, and which I will bear. I was desirous of killing a beast, an elephant. I thought an elephant had arrived at the water, on the bank of the Suryo, and with my bow in hand at a distance, in the darkness of night, in the darkness of the forest. When I heard the pitcher filling with the water, I stood unsuspecting and believing it to be the elephant. I shot the arrow that was responsible for that sound. Your son was hit by me with an arrow. Proceeding to the bank of the river, I immediately found an ascetic boy lying on the ground with his life nearly to extinct, pierced by the same arrow in his heart. Then drawing near at the insistence of that young boy who was suffering from pain because of the arrow, was immediately extracted by myself based on his request. And when the arrow came out of his bosom, he ascended to heaven. But he only thought of the two of you. And he grieved for the two of you, lamenting on the ground that you were blind. Through ignorance, your son has been rashly killed by me. Through ignorance, your son has been rashly killed by me. Such being the case, may your holiness please guide me on what should be done, what is to be done next. Hearing this cruel story, that is related by you today, you have confessed your guilt, as the father is replying to him. The sage, capable of pronouncing the worst type of curse, could not do anything. Stupefied, full of grief, his face bathed with tears. The sage, who was exceptionally glorious, replied to me, who stood there with joined palms, had you not told me of this evil deed today, O Kshatri, your head would have split open by the veracity of my prayer. Since this sinful deed has been done by you, punishment will come. But first take us to that place where my son be lying dead. I wish to see him one last time. I wish to touch him one last time, meaning to say, lying unconscious on the ground, before he goes to Dharmraj, I wish to touch him. I took the sore afflicted couple to that spot, Kaushalya. Single-handedly, I immediately made the sage and his wife touch their son. Approaching the son, touching him, the two of them fell on his person, and the father addressed him. You do not greet me today, son. You used to do before, you used to bow to my feet. You don't speak to me, son. But today you're lying on the ground, oh darling. Are you really displeased with me? Are you vexed with me? If I am unwelcome by you, oh son, look at your mother. Get up and talk to her. Moreover, why do you not embrace her, dear child? Address her with loving words, and all will be forgotten. Everything, all our tears will stop. Whose heart is captivating, you captivate our heart with your voice. I haven't heard you since last night when you left for water. I did not hear you read the holy books or the scriptures. When you go to bed and you come to do your worship for Sandhya, when you do your morning prayer to that goddess in the morning twilight, when you offer oblations and fire offerings, sacred offerings, when you sit by my side and you will console me, now all I have is torment of grief and fear caused by the death of my son. Who will fetch bulbs and roots and fruits for us to eat, O child? You used to sit and prepare our meals and feed us to our lips. as I am unfit to do any type of work. I am resourceless. I am guideless. How, my son, shall I be able to support your mother, who is now not only blind but aged and given to austerity? How will I take care of her? When she becomes so miserable, longing for you, dear child, do not go yet. Don't leave. Don't let your soul leave yet. Don't go to the abode of Yamraj. Tomorrow you will go with me and your mother. Stricken with grief, devoid of support, leading a wretched life in this forest, it is no more, it doesn't make sense worth living. But you will lead us even into the Yampuri, in the house of Yamraj. We shall both proceed to Yam's abode without delay. As we are bereft, we are already dead without you. Seeing Yamraj, I shall address him as follows with my prayer. O God of Dharma, here comes a person who is faultless. Let this son of mine continue to support us even in the afterlife. The pious-minded and highly illustrious guardian of this world will definitely accept my desire. And though you are killed as a result of some sinful act committed by some fool, you are truly sinless. Therefore, endowed as you are with truthfulness, speedily ascend. When we are together again, you will go to the highest realm. Just as those who die fighting with weapons, the Kshatri, fighting in battle in protection of godly people, likewise, you will attain that type of reach. Reach, my child, to the highest destiny, which is actually attained by heroic people, that never retreat from the battlefield. Those people that run towards the enemy, those valorous people, they gain the highest benefit. You never ran from all the adversity that me and your mother had put you through. You are born into this world to face hardships. As you cared for us and took care of us, oh son, reach, my dear, reach, but don't leave us. The same reach Emperor Sagar, these names are the family names of Dashrath. Emperor Sagar, Emperor Dilip, Janmijay, Nahush, Dundhumara, just as they reached as great kings for the service, the Seva they did, get merged, my dear child, into that Brahman. What we used to read in our text, what you read those scriptures for us, go into it, which is the goal of all living beings. Attain from the study of Ved and asceticism, practicing of sadhana. Attain the destiny that you should attain. What Kshatri give land and donate different things, maintain the fire, like the Brahmanas, the person who marries a single person and remains honest to that person, the person who gives cows in Dan, you gain all the blessing of having done all of this. In fact, no one born in the race of ascetics can ever meet with an evil destiny. He alone, by whom you, my son, was killed, will never meet such a destiny. Prem se bolo Maapati Mahadeva ki jai. Avad jahi mam rajan marane nashti me vyakta ye sharana putra mam Shravan putra Shri Tvayama ka Kakshema putra kam Shri Vishnu Bhagwan ki jai. The ascetic piteously wailed again and again on the aforesaid spot. Therefore, he proceeded with his wife to offer the tarpan on behalf of their son. Consider that. By virtue of his own deeds, the sage son, for his part, who knew what is right, immediately they placed this form, the astral form, takes form. Together in the company of Indra, they stand there, who is evidently come in person. Because of the merit, he comes to speak to his mother and father. And as that soul is there, the little boy, together with Indra, talked to the aged couple, comforting them for a while. Speaking to his father, he says, through service rendered to you both, I have attained the highest place. What you wish for me, I'm already there. You two as well will soon reach my presence. Soon enough. Having spoken as aforesaid, the son, for his part, who had subdued all his senses, not lustful, not greedy, but he remained faithful to doing his diligence to his parents, quickly rose to the heavenly regions in a vehicle that was driven by Indra himself. As they offered all the tarpan, the sage and his wife was ready to give up this life. But before they gave up the form, Kaushalya, they said this, since with one arrow you have rendered me sonless, who had only one son, kill me as well this very day, O king. No agony, no further agony will be experienced by me in dying, as I'm already dead. Since the boy of mine has been killed by you through ignorance, I shall accordingly pronounce a most painful and severe shrap on you. This agony will come back to you. As I have lost my son, as it is being experienced by me in this moment, more than my life can endure. Through you, you too will meet your end through this type of grief, as you will separate from your son. However, as an ascetic being killed by your Kshatri through ignorance, the sin of killing a Brahman is not going to visit you, so it will not be that bad. A similar situation, however, will be as dreadful, and it will prove fatal to you as soon as you are confronted with the merit that you have accrued from this situation. Just as when people give donation and they accrue benefits, you will receive punishment from this. Having pronounced that upon me, and their life left the body, and their souls, I saw their souls reach to the heavenly region. From time to time, that sin committed by me on occasions had haunted my memory. I remember it clearly, and now, as I sit here, O Kaushalya, the fruit of all the different mistakes I made, I'm bearing that fruit today. I remember his words. As the emperor was weeping next to Kaushalya, as frightened as he was, it was time for death to come for him because of the absence of Sri Ram. Since I am soon going to give up the jiv from my body, out of grief born from the separation of my son, I no longer see you with my eyes, O Kaushalya. I cannot see you, Devi. Therefore, touch me, let me know you are there, let me hear you. For when people reached the threshold, I was told that they no longer discern what is in their mind, what is real, what is not, what is memory, what is past, what is present, and what is future. Should Ram touch me once more, dear Devi, I would regain my health, I would regain my life, I would survive because of him. The wrong which I have done by me against that Ram is not becoming of me. The person I once was, the person that I am, I should not have done that. Oh, precious lady, whilst all the obligations were being fulfilled by me towards him as a son, there's no way I could redeem my promise of giving him the throne that he rightfully deserves and then taking it back. What wise man on this earth will forsake his son, even if that son has bad ways? Which father wants to throw away his son? What son? Look at him. He is without fault. He is without any blunder, and he's still listening to me. I can no longer see you with my eyes. My memory is fading. I'm forgetting my words, Kaushalya. The messengers of Yamraj, they are urging me to make haste. I can see them. They are gesturing and they are congregating around me. I can see them. But what is more painful than the fact is that I have reached to the end of this long life that I have lived, all the battles I have fought, and I cannot behold my Ram one last time. The grief born of not being able to see my son is incomparable to all that I would have done. Now my mouth is dry, just as the sun dries the puddle of meager water. Now I remember the 14 years the people of Ayodhya suffered, and the thirst that each one of that life, each animal, each person, each plant life endured. That thirst is coming back to me now as my mouth and my body is giving way. I hold in my mind, I cannot remember anything, but I have his face. I see the twinkling of the earrings. But I am thirsty, O Kaushalya. Lucky are men who will get a look on the moonlight constance of Ram again, with his eyes looking like petals, with his eyebrows, with his lovely teeth, with that charming nose, with his beautiful smile. Those that will survive me, and they will get to see his sweet smelling face resembling the moon that comes out in autumn, large and big in India. Happy will they who survive live to see the return of Sri Ram. Please remember this, it's relevant to our January. Blessed are those people that will be in the life within their body to see, to behold the return of Ram to Ayodhya, as his time and term of exile would one day come to an expiration, a closing. Even as people see the light when the planet Venus reverts to its normal course and all the problems stop in people's lives, one day this exile will come to an end. O Kaushalya, you will live. My heart sinks. I have no sensation. I cannot hear. I don't know if you are there. I cannot lift my hands and my tongue is dry. I cannot sense anything. I have no sense of contact, for all my senses are obscured as a result of the failure of my mind, as an exceedingly luminous ray of light is in front of me. And all I can sense is oil. Oil, a strange thing, oil. This grief which has emanated from myself, caused by myself, and today I am reaping by myself, is rendering me now helpless and unconscious. So powerful is this karma, like the current of the river that goes where it wishes to go because of its rapid movement. Today the mighty arms of Dashrath are not mighty anymore. And in that moment, as the life is leaving the body, devotees, he calls out to his son, O reliever of my suffering, O darling of your father, O protector, O my son, are you really gone from my eyesight? I can see no more with these physical eyes. O Sumintra, boy, Lakshman, O Sumintra is calling the son of Sumintra. You are a living austerity. You are a practicing, living, breathing of austerity. O cruel Kaikeyi, you are my sworn enemy. You are a disgrace to my family. Lamenting in this way as he spoke to Sri Ram, as Mother Kaushalya stood there, as Sumintra stood there, Raja Dashrath reached to the end of his life. speaking in the aforesaid way, the king of noble birth, noble life, mixture of both good and not good. Feeling very miserable, distressed on the score of his beloved son's exile, felt stricken with agony. At the time, half the night had passed, and in that moment, the Jiv Atma, according to Slok 78, at the end of 64, he gives up. He gives up the birth. In the next chapter, all the servants come. Kaushalya and Sumitra thought he had fallen asleep because he was constantly in and out of consciousness. And they thought that he had fallen asleep again. And they went and they slept because of their own grief, their own feelings. In Slok 23, they remain sleeping for so long. The servants come, they know how to bathe him, change him, fix him as a king. And when the women came and they touched him and he felt cold, they started to squeal. And even then, Kaushalya and Sumitra did not get up. But as they squealed more and more, people came from the servants and so on, concluding the illustrious Dashrath has become deceased. And surrounding on all sides, consorts, servants started to shed profuse amount of tears. And in this way, as did Kaushalya and Sumitra, when they got up, they couldn't believe that now, another blow. In Tulsidas, in Valmiki, Vashisht, as we heard, why is Vashisht so prominent? Vashisht was his foster father. Vashisht makes the decision to create a chamber, let's say like a boat, but it is sealed. And they place his body, the dead body, to keep it from decomposing. After they had done a meeting with the ministers, the dead body of the Emperor Dashrath had to be placed into a trough filled with oil, because none of the sons were at that time within the confines of Ayodhya. Bharat and Shatrughan were at Nana place, Kaikeya, the father of Kaikeyi. He was over there. Ram and Lakshman have already left for Ban. Vashisht, after putting the body in that place where it is covered in oil, so it cannot decompose, sends a messenger to go and fetch Bharat. But do not tell him. Do not tell him of all that had happened. Tell him his guru is recalling him home. There is reason. Come. Prem Sabolo Siyapati Ramachandra ki Jai. This marks the end of chapter 66. Tonight, as I am concluding at this point, at this juncture, we'll continue tomorrow night, our last session of research between us, research on Raja Dashrath. Tonight, as we have heard more than what we hear in Tulsidas Ramayan, in Tulsidas Ramayan, it references his sins, but in the précis, in the little annotations where they put the asterisk and they would give you a little backstory, it refers to Valmiki to get the full story. So I wanted to read for you the fullness based on my conversation with Mr. Ramnarayan, for everybody's benefit, the full discourse of Shravan Kumar's Katha. From this discourse, many things happen. Pictures are made, movies have been made. The Shravan Kumar play, like the Aladdin Kemai and all these things. There was an entire dance play. One day we'll do that play. It is a very different sentiment, a different style of Ramayana. Sitting where you are in a very calm, somber spirit, remember where we started. O ek din chut jaye sansar. One day, this world will be left behind. Death does not make a distinction between the king and the beggar. It calls on us all. Even after studying Ved, Puran, all scripture, no one can understand the true nature of God's work or when that call will come. It is only Bhau Sagar mein jeevan naiya, Ram lagawat par ho, Ram lagawat par. It is only by Sri Ram, his presence, his grace, his benediction, who can tide the boat that you and I are in over, to ferry us over this Bhau Sagar, this life, this river, ocean, birth and death. Tonight, as we pause here, we'll continue tomorrow night as we do our final installation of the second 3 nights, as we are doing, as you heard, with the return, how blessed are those that will get to hear of the return of Sri Ram. And this moment, this is why I did not want to waste it. Whether you're watching me on Facebook, YouTube, or on Sankhya Television, please send your comments, share the satsang so that more people can benefit from it. Be the person to share this type of knowledge, this type of teaching. There are many young people today who don't know the innards of our text. And for that reason, I wanted to embark on this type of katha, this type of discourse. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed this time spent in prayer. For this reason, I encourage you all to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Send me your comments and your questions. Join me on Sankhya from time to time as we do satsang. Please send your comments to Sankhya as well, encouraging them through your questions. Encourage them to let's do good and God, whether this Baba, next Baba. Please share your comments and let's interact so that our satsang could get to the heart of the matter. That there's so much in our text, there's so much to talk about, and time is always slipping away. I hope you enjoyed our satsang tonight. Please join your hands as we do Ramayan Visarjan. Katha Visarjan hotu hai, suno veera Hanuman, ja jan ja se aaya hai, tetah karo payan. Jai Jai Raja Ram ki, Jai Lakshman Balwan, Jai Kapis Sugriva ki, Jai Angar, Jai Hanuman, Jai Jai Kak Bushund ki, Jai Giri Uma Mahesh, Jai Rishi Bhardwaj ki, Jai Tulsi Avadesh. कथा विसर्जन हो तुहे, सुनो वीर हनुमान, जो जन जा से आया है, टेटह करो पयान. Say your prayers. त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव, त्वमेव बन्धु च सखा त्वमेव, त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव, त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव, त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव. Together, Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. प्रेम से बोलो उमापति महादेव की जय, पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, श्री आदि शक्ति माता की जय, सियाभर रामचंद्र की जय, वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय, सत्य सनातन धर्म की जय. जय जय सीताराम. सबको सीताराम everybody. Tonight, as we bring down the curtain on our second session, I hope you really enjoyed our satsang. Please join us tomorrow night as we'll do our third session of our Dashrath research in our Ramayana. May God bless you. May God continue to protect you and be with your family. Everybody, until tomorrow, Sitaram.